What if the reason you feel like an outsider isn't because you are broken, but because you are built for something rare? We often look at a small social circle and assume it's a sign of failure or a personality flaw. We wonder why we don't click with the crowd or why people seem to drift away just as we start to show our true selves. But what if that loneliness is actually a form of protection? Stay with me, because by the end of this discussion, you might realize that you weren't meant to blend into the background. You were designed to stand apart for a very specific reason. If you have ever looked around a crowded room and felt completely alone, or wondered why your friendships seem to have an expiration date, you aren't imagining things. This feeling of being different isn't a mistake. It is a signal. Many people spend their entire lives trying to fit into boxes that were never made for them, feeling exhausted by the effort. This message is for those who have stopped trying to force the fit. It's for the chosen ones who walk a quieter road, not because they are cold, but because their internal frequency doesn't match the static of the world. The gift of deep perception, the first rare trait you likely possess, is an almost unnerving level of perception. Before a single word is spoken in a room, you have already read the energy. You feel the hidden tensions, the forced smiles, and the unspoken motives that others miss entirely. It's like having a high-definition lens on life while everyone else is looking at a blurry screen. This isn't just observation, it's a deep, intuitive registration of truth. You see through the masks people wear, not to judge them, but because you simply cannot help but notice when someone isn't being authentic. This level of awareness changes how you interact with the world. While others are content with surface-level small talk, you are busy processing the layers underneath. You catch the moment a person's warmth turns into a performance, or when a story doesn't quite align with the energy behind it. Once you see these things, you can't unsee them. This is why social gatherings can be so draining. It's not that you hate people, it's that pretending to be blind to the truth is an exhausting way to live. Why truth disrupts comfort? Because you see things so clearly. Your very presence can be disruptive to others. You don't even have to say anything to make people feel exposed. Your silence acts as a mirror, reflecting back to people the parts of themselves they would rather keep hidden. Some people find this incredibly inspiring and are drawn to your honesty. However, many others find it unsettling. They realize that their usual social shortcuts and performative versions of themselves won't work on you. To protect their own comfort, they often choose to keep their distance. This leads to a lot of misunderstandings. You might be labeled as intense or difficult to read, when in reality you are just being fully present. In a world that runs on distraction, true presence has a heavy weight. Relationships often fade not because you did something wrong, but because clarity is the enemy of comfort. Not everyone is ready to trade their illusions for the truth you naturally carry. You end up with a smaller circle because you are unfiltered, and most modern relationships are built on the very filters you refuse to use. The exhaustion of the fake, there is a specific kind of hollow feeling that happens during a fake connection. You know the one, where words are being exchanged and everyone is laughing, but you feel like you're watching a movie you've already seen. For a chosen one, this isn't just boring, it's painful. Your inner world cannot survive on borrowed or fake energy. Small talk feels like a heavy weight because it requires you to wear a costume that doesn't fit. You don't want to be vaguely included. You want to be deeply understood or simply left in peace. This high standard for connection naturally thins out your social life. While others bond over routine and gossip, you only feel a spark when there is truth involved. Since truth requires courage and emotional availability, two things that are currently in short supply, your options often feel limited. People might mistake your withdrawal for arrogance or lack of interest. They don't see the immense loyalty you are ready to give to the right person. You don't collect acquaintances, you choose soul-level connections, and those cannot be found on every street corner. The physical toll of inauthenticity, interestingly, Your body often knows a connection is wrong before your mind can put it into words. Many chosen ones have highly attuned nervous systems that react physically to emotional noise. If you find yourself feeling physically ill, irritable, or completely drained after being in an inauthentic environment, this is why. Your system is designed to preserve your integrity, not your popularity. In a culture that demands we always be on and available, your need to step back and protect your energy is often labeled as being antisocial. What makes this trait so rare is your willingness to choose solitude over settling for a lie. Most people feel the discomfort of a fake relationship, but stay anyway because they fear being alone. You, however, walk away internally long before you leave physically. Over time, this shapes a very specific social landscape. Fewer notifications, fewer parties, and fewer group chats. But in exchange, you gain a spirit that isn't compromised. You are being trained to recognize the real thing, the moment it finally appears. The mirror of growth, one of the most painful reasons people drift away, is because you are growing. Growth for a chosen one isn't a slow crawl, it's often a series of rapid evolutions. You question your patterns, you face your shadows, and you learn your lessons. This growth is quiet, but it is incredibly disruptive to those around you. When you change, the unspoken agreement of the relationship breaks. That agreement usually says, "I'll stay the same so you don't have to feel bad about staying the same." When you break that deal, the connection starts to crack. Your evolution acts as a silent confrontation to anyone who is procrastinating on their own life. Your discipline highlights their lack of it. Your awareness exposes their repression. You don't have to preach or judge for this to happen. Simply by becoming a better version of yourself, you make it harder for others to remain unchanged in your presence. Most people would rather lose a friend than lose their comfort zone. This is why you might feel like you've become harder to love as you've become more self-aware. You aren't harder to love, you're just harder to ignore. History vs. resonance. It's hard when people you've known for years start to feel like strangers. You share history, memories, and deep secrets, but suddenly the resonance is gone. You realize that history alone isn't enough to keep two people aligned. Growth reveals which connections were based on proximity, being in the same school or job, and which were based on a true meeting of the soul. Some people only loved the version of you that didn't challenge their own ego. Once that version is gone, they no longer know how to relate to you. This process isn't a punishment, it's a recalibration. Every new level of your life is going to require a different version of you, and it will also require a different environment. The shedding of old friends is uncomfortable, but it creates the necessary space for people who don't need you to stay small to feel safe. The people drifting away aren't being taken from you. They are being released from a role they can no longer play. You are moving into a phase of life that requires a higher level of companionship. Solitude as a power source. While most of the world views solitude as a negative state for you, it is a primary power source. You don't endure being alone, you crave it. It is the only place where the noise of the world stops and your own intuition becomes loud enough to hear. This independence is often misunderstood. People assume that because you are alone, you must be lonely or depressed. They don't realize that your stillness is where your inner compass recalibrates. You are not avoiding the world, you are protecting your clarity. This comfort with solitude makes you very difficult to control. When you don't need external validation to feel real, you stop performing for the crowd. You move based on alignment rather than applause. This unsettles people who rely on constant feedback to feel okay about themselves. You stand centered in your own awareness, and because of that, you don't play the status games or the popularity contests that drive most social groups. You measure a connection by its depth, not by how many people are involved. The refinement of the circle, your solitude, is actually a form of preparation. It's where your next big ideas take shape and where your character is forged. While others think nothing is happening, because you are silent, you are actually building a foundation that is stable enough to carry your future calling. Being selective isn't about being defensive or stuck up. It's about being intentional. You allow people into your life out of choice, not out of a desperate need for company. That one shift changes the entire power dynamic of your relationships. The season of standing alone is giving you a level of inner stability that you could never find in a crowd. You are learning to trust your own signal even when no one else is around to validate it. This is a vital skill for the path ahead. If you had constant noise around you, you would never be able to distinguish your own voice from the opinions of others. Your circle has always been small because the work you are here to do requires an unclouded mind and a focused heart. While you can't move in clusters, there is a fundamental truth you must accept. You were not designed to move in a pack. Your perception and your rhythm were built for a specific direction, not for collective consensus. When you try to move with the crowd, your inner signal gets blurred. Opinions start to feel like facts, and expectations begin to drown out your purpose. The crowd doesn't have to attack you to hurt you. It just has to overwhelm you with its noise. This is why blending in has never felt like safety to you. It feels like a loss of self. Accessibility is a major drain on someone with your wiring. When too many people have access to your time and energy, your focus fragments. You find yourself adjusting your behavior to make others comfortable, and slowly, you stop aligning with your own truth. This is why you instinctively limit access to yourself. It's not arrogance, it's a survival mechanism for your soul. Your life requires fewer voices, but those voices must be the right ones, ones that protect your silence instead of competing with it. The redirected path, the most important realization is this: the crowd was never rejecting you. You were being redirected. Every social dead end, every ghosted text, and every season of isolation was a way of clearing the path for your actual assignment. You are not meant to be an echo of someone else's life. You are meant to move into territories where there are fewer people but much clearer directions. Once you understand this, the loneliness starts to feel a lot more like a mission and a lot less like a mistake. If you find yourself with almost no friends today, stop looking for what is wrong with you. Start looking at what is awakening within you. You are being separated from what cannot go where you are going. This isn't abandonment, it is initiation. You are being selected for a path that cannot be crowded or rushed. It requires a level of clarity that can only be found in the quiet. Your solitude is the seasoning of your soul, preparing you for a level of connection that is based on resonance, not just habit. Honoring the transition as you move forward, honor the person you are becoming. Don't apologize for your need for space or your high standards for friendship. Guard your peace with everything you have. The right people, those who can stand in your light without shrinking, will find you when you are ready. They will meet you at the frequency you are currently rising to. Until then, trust the silence. Trust that the path beneath your feet knows exactly where it's taking you, even if you're walking it alone for now. Remember, some people are chosen to walk ahead to see what's coming first. They clear the way for others and stand where few are willing to stand. If you feel that calling deep in your bones, let this be the moment you stop trying to fit in and start embracing your role. This is not the end of your social life. It's the beginning of your real one. You were never meant to be part of the noise. You were meant to be the clarity that cuts through it.